No one remembers exactly how they end up on that platform. I don't remember either. I was just walking home. It was late. The city was already turning off its shop windows, the lights in the buildings going out one by one, as if someone were carefully flipping the pages of the day. I turned where I usually didn't. That happens. Night changes routes. And then I saw the stairs. They led downward, underground. Old concrete steps with peeling paint. There was no sign above them. No subway logo. Just stairs. And a weak yellow light below. I stopped. A thought crossed my mind. I have never been here. And another one, quieter. But I am supposed to be here. The platform was empty. Not deserted, empty. As if it were a place that existed only when someone looked at it. The walls were gray, slightly damp. The lamps were old, with warm light that brought no comfort. There was no clock. I looked at the tracks. They went into darkness. Not to the left and not to the right, they simply disappeared. And then I heard a sound. A train. It was approaching slowly. It did not roar or screech. It seemed to glide through the air, like a memory that is hard to catch. The headlights emerged from the darkness, and a moment later the train stopped in front of me. Old. Dark green. The windows were cloudy, but there was light inside. There was no number on it. No route name. Only one word, almost worn away, above the door of the first car. Departure. The doors opened. I was not planning to get on. Honestly. But then I noticed that I was no longer alone on the platform. A woman stood nearby. Around 40. Wearing a coat, with a bag over her shoulder. She was not looking at the train, she was looking at the tracks. Do you know where it goes? I asked. She slowly shook her head. It doesn't go somewhere, she said. It goes further. It was a strange way to put it. But at night, strange words sound convincing. The conductor stepped out of the train. Tall. Thin. Wearing a uniform that had once been black. His face was ordinary. Too ordinary. The kind of face that does not stay in memory. Tickets, please, he said calmly. We don't have tickets, the woman said. The conductor smiled. That's not a problem. He held out his hand. And tickets appeared in his palm. I did not see how it happened. They were simply there. Paper tickets, slightly yellowed. He handed one to the woman and one to me. I looked down. My name was printed on the ticket. Ethan Walker. No mistakes. No explanation. This is some kind of joke, I said. The conductor looked straight into my eyes. No, he replied. This is confirmation. Confirmation of what? He tilted his head slightly. That you are ready. The woman had already stepped into the car. She did not turn around. I looked at the ticket again. There was no departure time. No seat number. Only the name. And at the bottom, in small print. One way. I had to go. I knew it as clearly as people know that sleep is inevitable. When I stepped into the car, the doors closed behind me. And only then did I realize. There was no way back to the platform. Inside, the car looked older than it did from the outside. The wooden wall panels were darkened, as if they had absorbed years of smoke, conversations, and silence. The seats were green, with worn fabric. Above each one hung a small lamp with warm light that created an illusion of comfort, but did not ease the tension. The train started moving almost without a sound. There was no jolt. No sudden pull. Just a light feeling, as if the floor itself had decided to move together with you. I stood in the aisle, still holding the ticket, not knowing where to sit. There was no seat number on it, and for some reason that felt right. "It's free here," a voice said. A man by the window nodded toward the seat across from him. He looked to be around 50. Gray hair at his temples, a neat jacket, his hands folded on his knees. He looked like someone who rode trains every day. I sat down. "Have you been here long?" I asked. He thought for a moment. Not for a second, longer. As if he were checking his memories by touch. "Long enough," he said, "to stop counting." It was not an answer, but I did not press. There were other passengers in the car. A young couple sitting nearby did not hold hands. An elderly woman with a neatly folded scarf stared at the floor. A boy around 20 years old was listening to music without headphones, or at least it seemed that way. I could not hear any sound. "Where are you going?" I asked the man across from me. He smiled faintly. At first, I asked that too. "And what did they tell you?" "Nothing," he said. And then I stopped waiting for an answer. The train moved smoothly. Outside the windows there was no tunnel. No stations. Only darkness, moving together with us, as if we were drifting inside it. I remembered the woman from the platform. "Have you seen anyone get off?" I asked quietly. The man slowly turned his head toward me. "They do get off," he said. "Just not the way you think." "How, then?" He looked at my hands. "You're holding your ticket," he said. "Don't lose it." "Why?" "Because those who get off without a ticket," he did not finish the sentence. "They don't even come back in memories." The conductor walked down the aisle again. The same one. Calm. Attentive. "Inspection," he said. "But you already," someone began. "This is a different one," the conductor replied. He stopped by each passenger. He did not look at the ticket, he looked at the face. As if he were checking not the name, but the condition. When he reached the boy without headphones, the boy suddenly stood up. "I want to get off," he said. "I shouldn't be here." The car became very quiet. "There is no next station," the conductor replied. "That's illegal," the boy said. "You don't have the right." The conductor nodded. "Rights are a matter of direction," he said. "And you have already chosen." "I didn't choose anything." The conductor held out his hand. "Your ticket." The boy looked at his hands. They were empty. I had it," he whispered. "It was right here." The conductor sighed. Not irritated. Almost sympathetic. "Then it will be harder for you," he said. The light in the car flickered. The train did not stop. But something inside it changed. And then I understood for the first time. This train was not moving along tracks. It was moving along choices people had made. And forgotten. After the boy disappeared, no one spoke for several minutes. The train kept moving, as if nothing had happened. The lamps shone steadily. The wheels did not rattle. But the silence was different, denser, like the air before a storm. I looked at the place where he had been standing. The seat was empty. There was no trace left on the floor. "He got off," the woman with the neatly folded scarf whispered. The man across from me shook his head. "No," he said. "He finished." "What does that mean?" I asked. Instead of answering, he took out his ticket and placed it on the small table between us. "Look," he said. I leaned closer. The name on his ticket was printed clearly. But the letters looked slightly shifted. Not like an old printer. More like words in a dream, when you look at them a second time. "Is that your name?" I asked. He was silent for a long moment. "It was," he finally said. "And now?" "Now it's adapting." I looked at my own ticket. Ethan Walker. I blinked, and for a second it seemed to me that the second letter in my name had darkened. As if someone had started to erase it, but stopped. Tickets don't just confirm that we're here, the man said. They fix who we were when we got on. I remembered the conductor's words, "This is confirmation that you are ready." Ready for what? For simplification, he said. People here are not needed in their entirety. Only what can be taken further. The woman with the scarf began to cry softly. My ticket has changed, she said. My name is no longer there. She held out the paper. Only one word was printed on it. Passenger. Is that bad? She asked. No one answered. The train began to slow down. For the first time since it started moving. Light appeared outside the windows. Not a station, something similar to one. A platform without a name. Without signs. Only benches and dark silhouettes standing far away, beyond the light. The conductor appeared at the end of the car. Preparing to stop, he said. But you said, I began. I said there is no final station, he replied. That is not the same as having no stops. Who can get off? The woman asked. The conductor looked at the tickets. Those whose names no longer weigh anything, he said. And those who are not afraid to leave them here. And if I get off? I asked. He stepped closer and, for the first time, looked directly into my eyes. Then you will have to find out, he said. Whose name you are carrying now? The train almost stopped. The doors had not yet opened. But I already felt it. When they did, not all passengers would be the same as they were a minute ago. The train stopped so gently that not everyone felt it. There was no grinding of brakes. No jolt. Just a strange pause, as if time held its breath for a moment. The light in the car became a little brighter, and now the platform outside the windows was clearly visible. It looked complete. Benches. Lamps. Stairs leading upward. And no name. Is this a station? The woman with the scarf whispered. This is a place, the man across from me replied. There is a difference. The doors opened. Cold air entered the car, carrying the smell of dampness and something old. Not dust, more like an archive. A place where things are stored for a long time after they are no longer used. The conductor stood by the exit. You have time, he said. But not much. Time for what? I asked. He looked at my ticket. For a decision, he said. And for remembering. The woman with the scarf stood up first. She was trembling, but she moved confidently, as if she had been preparing for this for a long time. If I get off, she said. Will I still be me? The conductor tilted his head slightly. You will be what you are able to carry, he replied. She nodded. Slowly. Carefully, as if she were agreeing not with him, but with herself. When she stepped onto the platform, I saw something strange. Her figure did not move farther away. She seemed to remain in place, even as she took a step forward. Then she stopped and turned around. Her face was simpler. Not calm, simplified. As if unnecessary layers had been removed. She looked at us and said, I remember being afraid. But I don't remember of what. The doors closed behind her. The train moved on. She got off, I whispered. She stayed, the man said. Just not here. I looked at my ticket. And for the first time I noticed that my name had changed. There was no longer Walker. Only Ethan. Is that bad? I asked. The man studied the paper for a long time. That means, he said, the train considers the last name unnecessary. Why? Because last names tie us, he replied. To family. To the past. To who we were, not who we might become. The conductor walked down the aisle again. "The next stop," he said, "will be more difficult." "Why?" I asked. He stopped beside me. "Because there," he said quietly, "tickets sometimes return names." "Is that good?" He smiled, not sadly, not cruelly. Carefully. "Only if you are ready to remember," he said. "Why you got on this train in the first place." After the stop, there were fewer people in the car. Not empty, just less crowded. As if the train had removed unnecessary weight. The space between passengers grew, and the silence became even more noticeable. A different man now sat across from me. I did not remember him getting on. But I was sure he had not been there before. He looked calm. Even satisfied. He held his ticket between two fingers, without hurry. "Did you notice?" he said, without looking at me. "What?" I asked. "When the train takes something important away," he said, finally meeting my eyes, "relief comes first. Fear comes later." He smiled and showed me his ticket. There was no name on it. None at all. "That doesn't scare you?" I asked. "On the contrary," he replied. "For the first time in a long while, I don't have to answer for anyone specific." "For whom?" "For myself," he said simply. "And for who I was supposed to be." He placed the ticket on his knees, as if it were something that no longer mattered. "I got on this train because I was tired of remembering," he continued. "And the train understood that." I looked again at my own ticket. Ethan. Without a last name. But the letters looked clearer than before. As if the train had decided that this name was worth keeping. "And if a name comes back?" I asked. The man leaned closer. "Then it is rarely yours," he said. He nodded toward the end of the car. A young woman sat there. I had not noticed her before. She was looking out the window and squeezing her ticket so tightly that the paper bent. I saw the name. Printed evenly. Clearly. Without doubt. Ethan Walker. My full name. "That's a mistake," I whispered. The man shook his head. "The train doesn't make mistakes," he said. "It redistributes." The lights did not go out all at once. First, the lamps above the seats dimmed, as if someone were slowly turning down a dial. Then they disappeared completely. The train did not stop. It kept moving. I felt it through a faint vibration under my feet. When the light returned, the windows were gone. In their place were smooth, dark panels. No cracks. No reflections. As if the car had never had an outside. "Is this a different car?" I whispered. "No," the voice beside me said. "It's a different state." The nameless man was still sitting there. Calm. Collected. "They don't show direction here," he said. "They show the reason." I felt a strange pressure in my temples. Not pain, presence. Like someone standing too close, without footsteps. I began. "Don't look," he said. "Listen." And I listened. Not to the sound of the train. Not to voices. Memories. Not mine. Someone else's house. The smell of old coffee. A man standing in a doorway, not stepping inside because he knows he is not wanted there. A woman repeating someone else's name, as if tasting it. "That's not me," I whispered. "Those are the parts," he replied, "that didn't fit anywhere else." Something stirred in my pocket. I took out the ticket. The name Ethan was still there. But beneath it, a line had appeared that hadn't been there before. Reason, unfinished. Unfinished, I read. "Exactly," he said. "You didn't finish something important. That's why the train stopped on you." The conductor appeared in the aisle again. In the windowless car, he seemed closer. More real. It will be harder from here, he said. From here on, the train starts turning back. Turning back what? I asked. He looked at me longer than before. Questions, he replied. The ones you never answered. I remembered the woman with my name. Her gaze. Her hands gripping the ticket. If I take my name back, I said, what happens to her? The conductor did not answer right away. Then you will have to take, he said, what came with the name. The light in the car began to change. The warm yellow shifted colder. And I suddenly understood something simple. The train never moves forward. It moves deeper. And if I don't get off now, the next stop will not be a place. It will be a decision. The light stabilized, but it was different now. Colder. Clearer. It no longer tried to pretend comfort. I stood up and walked down the aisle. Each step echoed not with sound, but with sensation, as if the train were counting them. The passengers looked at me silently. Without curiosity. Without pity. The way people look when they have already made their choice. She was still sitting there. The young woman. Dark hair pulled back carelessly. Tired but attentive eyes. She held the ticket in front of her like proof of the right to be here. When I came closer, she looked up. You came for this, she said. Not a question. A statement. I looked at the ticket in her hands. Ethan Walker. Complete. Untouched. That's my name, I said. She nodded. It was, she replied. Now it's mine. Why? She didn't answer immediately. She looked at her fingers instead. Because I remember, she said, what you let go of. Something shifted inside my head. I didn't let go of anything. Everyone says that, she said quietly. And then life becomes lighter. And emptier. I sat down across from her. Do you know me? I asked. I know your decision, she replied. That night. That turn. That moment when you chose not to come back. I held my breath. I don't remember. That's exactly why the train is still moving, she said. The circle isn't closed. She leaned closer. You didn't get on this train by accident, Ethan. You were running. From consequences. From a name you could no longer carry. And you? I asked. I took it, she said. Because someone had to remember instead of you. The train shuddered slightly. If I take the name back, I said, what happens to you? She looked up at the dark ceiling. I become a passenger, she said. Without direction. Without reason. Do you disappear? No, she said softly. I stay. That's worse. I looked at my ticket. Ethan. Reason, unfinished. What's your name? I asked. She smiled faintly. On this train, she said. For now, none. The conductor stood nearby, waiting. The next stop, he said, has no platform. What does it have? I asked. He looked at both of us. An exit, he said. But only for one. The train accelerated again. And I understood. This wasn't about who I am. It was about who will keep the name. The train no longer gained speed. It was movement without progress. As if we were standing still while something inside was slowly turning backward. The air grew thick. Each breath felt separate. I remember that night, the woman said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. The rain started suddenly. You were in a hurry. You were always in a hurry when you didn't want to think. Something clicked. A dark road. Headlights. A turn that came too late. I didn't stop, I whispered. You could have, she said. But then you would have had to stay. With whom? I asked. She swallowed. With me. The car dissolved. The road appeared. Wet asphalt. The smell of rain that doesn't wash guilt away. I stood beside myself, younger, confused. Is this a memory? I asked. It's what you left unfinished, she replied. The train doesn't take people. It takes moments that never ended. I saw her there. On the roadside. In the rain. Calling my name. Ethan. I didn't answer then. I drove away. The car returned. I collapsed back into the seat. Did you die? I asked. She shook her head. No. I lived with your decision, she said. And then I received an invitation. She raised the ticket. The train gave me the name because I carried it all this time. You didn't. The conductor stepped closer. The next stop, he said, is the end of movement. The end? I asked. For the train, he clarified. Not necessarily for you. If I leave, I asked her, can I change anything? She hesitated. You can stay, she said. That's not always the same thing. The train trembled. For the first time, truly. And I understood. This place does not decide for me. It only puts me where I cannot avoid deciding. The train stopped abruptly. Not loudly, finally. The light went out completely. For seconds, or minutes, nothing existed. Then the lamps flashed again, but differently. They didn't hang above the seats. They appeared from the air, lighting only what you looked at. The doors were open. There was no platform beyond them. No stairs. No darkness. There was the space between. This is the exit, the conductor said. To where? I asked. To where movement ends, he replied. And consequence begins. I looked at the woman with my name. She stood up. Slowly. Without fear. I can go, she said. If you stay. And if I go? I asked. Then I stay here, she said. With what you didn't take. I looked at my ticket. Ethan. Reason, unfinished. The letters began to fade. Time, the conductor said. Is this the end? I asked. For the train, he said. Not for the story. Will I remember? I asked. Memory isn't guaranteed, he replied. Only responsibility. The ticket crumbled into fine paper dust. I understood. The train doesn't carry people. It carries postponed decisions. And now it could not go any farther with me. I don't remember the moment of leaving. I remember the silence afterward. Not darkness. Not light. Silence. I woke up sitting. A normal station. Signs. Noise. People passing by without noticing me. No one looked lost. No one looked finished. I looked at my hands. They were mine. I stood up and walked toward the exit. Ordinary turnstiles. An ordinary world. No conductor. No dark cars. No feeling of being watched. And yet, something was wrong. I knew something important had been left behind. Not like a memory, like a shadow. I didn't remember her face. I didn't remember the road. I didn't remember the rain. But when someone said my name, Ethan, I felt a slight resistance, as if the word wasn't fully mine. I looked at the departure board. Normal destinations. Normal names. And at the very bottom, in small print, there was something strange. No time. No platform. Departure. I blinked. It disappeared. I walked away. Days passed. Weeks. Sometimes it seems to me that I recognize faces in the crowd. People who look at the tracks longer than necessary. Those who hesitate near staircases going down, even though there is no sign. I never approach. But sometimes, at night, I dream of a train. Not the same one, another. But with the same light. With the same doors. And I know. It doesn't go forward. It doesn't go back. It waits. Because somewhere, right now, someone is walking through the city. Turns where they usually don't. Sees stairs they never noticed before. And feels a simple, dangerous thought. I've never been here. But I think I'm supposed to be.